Leave the crochet cast on. I have knit several rows of waist yarn and put one. Make it easier to take your waist yarn off. Thread your regular yarn through your carriage. Make a slip knot of the yarn. Put it on your latch hook tool. Bring it up through between the first needle and the second needle. Put the loop of the yarn below the latch. Come around the back side of the yarn and pull it through. You've done your first stitch. Bring it up through the next, between needle 2 and 3. Reach behind and pull it down. Now if you pull it down about 1/4 of an inch, you'll have a nice spacing. It won't be too tight. And just continue this clear across the row. Okay, tell a joke, somebody.
Okay, that's it.
Do you see red light in the front?
Yeah.
When you get to the other side, on the very last needle, you simply slip the, if I can do it, you just slip the loop over, loop over the needle. Now, another thing that you can use is the J crochet hook to make the chain across. Both of them work real fine. Then to knit the next row, you push the needles back to forward working position. I don't have my fancy tool here, but you make sure all the latches are open. And I usually knit the first row by hand.
Okay,
are all open. I hold the yarn up above it, up above the needles, and just gently pull back each stitch as I go. You just pull back far enough that it pulls the yarn loop through.
Okay, and going again.
You just go across the row and pull the yarn through. That's how you knit the first row of stitches. You just keep going across until you're all done, and that's ready for the next row. You're all done.
You didn't quit.
Because it's still on.
It's still on. That's it. Okay.
It's going now?
One.
You're going?
We're going.
Okay, we're doing a figure 8 E-wrap here. And basically you're going to make a figure 8 around 2 needles. I'm already halfway across the row. So I'm going to go under this one, come back over, and I've made a figure 8 around these 2 needles. Now to move over to the next 2, I'm going to have to go under 2 needles to get to the next pair of needles. And you just come back and you make this figure 8. You go over, under 2, back over 1, under 1, come around it, that's the figure 8. And you go under 2 again. And you're doing that all the way across the row. Under 2, back over, under 1, back over, under 2. 1, 1, under 2. 1, 1, under 2. That makes this nice, neat little figure 8. When you get to the end of this row, you're not going to be able to work the first row by the carriage. You're going to have to do it by hand. This particular cast on makes a really nice looking finished edge at the bottom of the work.
ready for you to shut it off? Or?
No, go ahead and let it run. It doesn't take that long to do.
4 o'clock, huh?
It's me, sweetie pie.
That's okay. They know there's more than one of us here. Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here trying to convince everybody that it's really quicker to work the first row by hand than to try it with a carriage and go back and pick up all the drop stitches and repair all the places that got messed up. It's really not that hard. The biggest problem with working the first row is when these needles come in, they dig right into those, that one didn't, but they dig right into these stitches, split the plies on the yarn, and the carriage jams. And particularly for a new knitter, it's just a heck of a lot easier to do this and not have to worry because the next row is going to knit. But that's one of the biggest, isn't that one of the biggest problems when you get started?
Yes.
Is having that slightly fuzzy yarn get split by the needle latches. And there you are. In the next row, famous last words, should knit. There's the first. That's the third one. Okay, when we get to the end of this, I'll go back and I'll show you what the finished edge looks like after I finish doing the swatch.
Okay.
This is a crochet cast-off. This is what I call a crochet cast-off. This is not the latch tool cast-off that some people do, but I do this because it's really quick and easy, and you don't have the edge get pulled up because the needles hold it out and hold the spacing on it. So you take a crochet hook. Wait a minute. I always have to think about this. I had it a minute ago. Okay, make a loop around your needle, and then you bring your yarn to the back side. And have the needles pulled away from the bed so you can get into them. You get your hand behind it. And then you pull it. Oops, I gotta skip the first one. Damn it. Sorry about that. I'm making one of those joinings with this thing, so I gotta have this one free. Okay. Put the loop around the crochet hook. Put the crochet hook in the first stitch and pull a loop through both of them. And you just go to the next stitch and pull a loop through both of them. And it's making a chain bind off across here, across the top edge. It looks like it's going to be down from the edge. It won't be. When you take it off the needles, it's going to be at the edge. It's going to match the crochet cast on in look. The edge will not pull up because it's spaced out by the needles. And you just go through every stitch. Can you see the detail through there? Is that
Yes.
okay? But sometimes the bind off when you're binding off over here at this edge, and you bind off, you work a stitch and you move it over here and you work another stitch and you bind it off, the edge keeps drawing up and it keeps pulling in tight. This one will not pull tight because this one is spaced. If anything that has a problem with this is that sometimes your work pulls in this way and this isn't going to because this is all spaced out. So if you kind of stretch these loops just a little bit as you go from needle to needle, that'll help counteract that tendency. But I do this on afghan ends all the time, and that way when I get ready to do an edge on the afghan, you see a stitch to work with. It's right there to hang on your needle or work a crochet through or whatever, but you can see the stitches real good on the ends. And that's all there is to that. Can you turn it off?
What do you do with the last?
Oh, the last stitch, you cut the yarn in and pull the yarn through the last tail. Except I lost my stitch here. There it is. Scissors, where'd the scissors go? You didn't see that. Fern taught me that. Okay, I can see the light go on. Okay, and when you take this thing off, you just kind of
Have to hold it.
whoops, up here.
Mm-hmm.
Get the needles out of the way. Anyway, you just sort of massage this thing up to the end of the loops, and they'll migrate right up there. It doesn't look like it when they first come off of the needles, but they'll just go right up to the end, and there they are, right along the edge, and that's your edging. And then to take this stuff off. See, I didn't use waste yarn. I just works directly on my hand. And you pull your ravel cord real tight so you can see it go straight. And it comes out. And it's off. And then this was crochet, no, what was this? This was the E-wrap. This is the E-wrap edging. And that's what it looks like. No, the figure 8 E-wrap, excuse me. This was the figure 8 E-wrap I just did. It has a little different look to it. It's not as loose a look as a straight E-wrap, is it? I don't use a straight E-wrap, so I don't know.
I rarely do.
See, I don't either, but...
Is it stretchy? Oh, pretty good.
Yeah. But that's... See, I do the chain cast on all the time. Now, that only stretches so much. That's not as stretchy as what that one was. I can feel the chain tighten up on that bind-off. And it is on the purl side. It shows on the purl side. And that's a loose stitch we're using for later. Okay, that's all.